Good morning, everyone. April 2nd, 2019. 8 a.m. my time. Just did a couple videos on pranayama, so if you haven't done those pranayama videos, I highly recommend going back and doing them. It'll get you focused for all of my classes. First and foremost, I recommend before you do any of my classes every day, do those pranayama videos, especially in the beginning. Welcome. All right, let's just kind of start off on our backs. Reach the arms overhead. Interlace the fingers, open the palms. Tuck and untuck the tailbone. Don't look, but know that your heels are directly behind your toes. Big inhale into your chest. Open the mouth, exhale. Just have the fingers interlaced, but you can bend the elbows and rest the tops of the hands on the head. Lift the chest as you inhale. Maybe tuck the tailbone and drop the chest as you exhale. A handful more rounds as you inhale. Lift the chest, root the sit bones, activate that lower lumbar. Maybe ocean breath with the mouth open. Exhale. Tucking the tailbone, maybe even scooping the hips up off the floor. Inhaling through the mouth. Dropping the chest, or lifting the chest, dropping the sit bones. And then exhaling. Scooping the tailbone up. Inhaling, dropping the sit bones, lifting the chest. Exhaling, scooping the tailbone, rounding the back, tucking the chin. And then just keep the hips up. Walk the feet together. Squeeze the knees together so the feet are still hips distance, but you can lift the toes and drop the knees together. So find out it kind of spreads your sacrum a little bit. And then just straighten the left leg. You point the left foot away from your head, not towards the ceiling. Hover the right heel. Point and flex the left foot. Pushing into the right foot, keeping the hips lifted. And then try to pull the right toes towards the hip. Ooh. Put the right heel down, keep the left foot up, and pull the right heel towards the hip. So feel the back of the leg, the hamstring, posterior chain of the body. And then just switch sides. Left toes down, left heel lifted, knees together, right foot straightens, right leg straightens. Push into the left foot for a handful of breaths, inhaling, lifting the chest. Exhaling, drawing the belly button down. Big inhale. Exhale. Going to set the left heel down, pull the left heel towards the head. Your hips are still up for 5. Exhaling. And you feel free to inhale and exhale through the mouth. But if I really find that ocean breath, it doesn't have to be in and out through the nose. It actually might help to do it in and out through the mouth at the beginning to really keep track of that breath. Good. Set the hips down, pull the knees in, big inhale. Now keep your hands around your knees and just kind of drop the knees over towards the left. Big inhale into your chest. As you exhale, draw the hips over, the knees over towards the right. Keep your hands around your knees though. So you keep that compression of the ribs into the thighs, closing the distance. Good. Big inhale. Exhale, come back to center. Try to keep the eyes closed and just cup the back of the knees or roll up. Find Dandasana. So straighten the legs. And why do you find your Dandasana? Do you pull the meat out from underneath your seat so you can find the sit bones and root down? Do you just kind of round your back and tuck your chin? Let's bring our fingertips back behind our hips, or at our hips or behind them. And then we start with the foundation. Like, make sure you really can find those sit bones, those 2 sit bones rooting down. And let's find that lumbar curve. Let's push the lumbar back as we reach the tailbone back. Notice how that automatically finds that curve of the skeletal system, so the chest starts to lift towards the chin. And then we bend the knees a little bit. Pull the heels into the earth. The knees are bent, so I'm activating the back of the leg. And then the legs are separated. Heels are about hips distance apart. Bring the toes together, so you'll feel that internal rotation of the knees. I'm still pulling on the heels. So the skin on the outside of my thighs goes up towards the ceiling and then down through the center of my legs. It's internal rotation. And let's do the opposite. Let's reach the toes away from each other. External rotation, the skin on the inside of the thighs goes up and then away. And then start to pull on the heels. Notice if you started to round the back. Think about keeping that head lifting up towards the sky, almost like you're creating space between each vertebra. It all starts with the rooting down of the sit bones right behind you, activating this erector muscles on the back body. Now, do you think you could stay like this and fold forward? Let's stack the toes over the heels. Keep bending the knees. And then keep maybe pushing the fingers into the earth, and like you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades together behind your back. But gently do it. Maybe point and flex the feet a couple times. You're continuing to pull the heels into the earth. Big inhale into your chest. Exhaling. We're just maintaining an isometric contraction of pulling the heels towards the glutes, rooting down, and pulling the fingertips towards the back of the mat. Just really working my posterior chain of my body. I can start to crawl my fingertips forward. Just walk the index finger and the middle fingers forward. I keep lengthening the chest. I'm not rounding my back. I'm bending the knees a little bit more. Pulling the heels towards the hips. Pulling the toes towards the shins. Breathing. Good. Now let's do the opposite. Let's straighten the legs. Now let's round the back. Tuck the chin forward. Wow. We did that for 90 minutes, huh? Point and flex the feet a little bit. Shift to the left, shift to the right. Maybe pull on the left foot, push the right foot away from the hip, and then do the opposite. Pull the right hip back, the right femur back, and push the left foot away. So feel what that does to your sacrum. The QL. Does it even affect your IT band? Okie dokie. So let's grab your strap. Hopefully you have a strap, a towel, something like that already. I always have straps, towels. You can just grab the outside edges, ends of the strap, wrap it around your hands, and start to pull. And let's bend the knees at first. Lifting the chest. And maybe we put the strap right on the mound of the big toe. So right on the mound of the big toe. And pull the strap back. And play with straightening the legs and then bending the knees. Pushing into the strap. And then as you straighten the legs and then bending the knees. And continuing to push into the strap as you bend the knees. But you're also pulling the heels into the earth. Good. Now can you keep that? Release the strap. Bring the strap to shoulder distance or so. Turn the palms up. Pull the strap apart. Really pull the strap apart. Bend the elbows, bring the strap to your chest, and then keep the elbows bent and start to lift the strap up. So keep the elbows bent, bring the elbows just as high as the shoulders. Keep pulling the heels into the earth, rooting down through your sit bones as you lift the chest up. Elbows are just as high as the shoulders. Good. Bring the elbows closer together. Reach the hands further apart. And start to straighten the arms. Squeeze the muscles up around your neck as you straighten the arms, and then soften the shoulders down the back. Maybe bend the elbows a little bit. Keep turning the palms towards the back of the room. So you turn the thumbs away from midline, the palms face back. Bend the elbows a little bit, and then straighten the arms. Soften the muscles down the back. Keep pulling the heels towards the sit bones. Keep lifting the chest towards the chin. Bend the elbows, touch the strap to the head or behind the neck, and then lift it back up. Don't forget your breath. Keep the breath nice and long, inhaling. As you bend the elbows and straighten the arms, you're pulling the arms out. You should feel this in the back of your arms tremendously. Good, and then straighten the arms and reach them back like you're in a downward facing dog. This actually is your downward dog, or should be your downward facing dog. Think about your legs straight in a downward dog. What would that be like? See what that does to your sacrum. Now you understand when I say lift the heels, bend the knees, reach your chest towards your thighs. That's a different kind of downward dog than just straightening your legs, yeah? Notice how you feel this activation on the outside of the arms and the side body. Big inhale. Good, now start to fold forward. Keep the knees slightly bent. Close the distance between the ribs and the thighs. Around the feet. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, fold. Big inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Beautiful. All right. Fingertips on the earth. Feet on the floor. Bring the hands behind you. And then we're just going to a few rounds. I like the fingertips down. Start to lift the hips up. Don't push it too far. Now shift forward and back from the heels to the toes. Like you're in an urdhva and you want to just create the space. You don't want to just dump into your shoulders. So at first my hips stay low. I adjust my hands as I seem fit. Maybe if the fingertips are too much, you bring the heels of the hands down. You notice that difference. Notice the fingers are just fine pointing away from the center of the mat. They point off the mat. They're off the mat. The thumbs push towards the feet. Notice the difference. The hands can also go back. Find where you need to work for your body. I'm not going to tell you what's right and what's wrong. And then we start to lower the hips. Shift it back. Find the compression. Keep the knees slightly bent. Drop the forehead towards the knees and shift the hips forward and back. And then inhale, come all the way up. Scoop the hips up. Open up the shoulders. Shifting to the left, shifting to the right. Good, and then drop the hips down. Shift it forward, shift it back. Adjust your hands if you need to. You're only shifting forward and shifting back. You might be doing little circles to the left, little circles to the right, shifting the pelvis left and right. Explore the body. Good. Come all the way over. Cross the shins, come all the way over. Interlace the fingers. Bring the elbows as close together as possible, just so enough to where your biceps, the insides of the arms, touch the ears. And tuck the back toes. And then reach the chest back. And some of you have a hollow back practice. You know, you float the feet up. Where we're just working on finding that opening in the underarm area. So you should think about a straight line between your elbow and your hips. Reaching the hips back, opening all of this up. Notice how lifting the heels and bending the knees, you're able to keep that lumbar curve. You can play with straightening one leg and then straightening the other. You know, you can make this a hamstring stretch or you can make this a shoulder stretch. I'm not going to tell you one way is right or wrong. Have intention to why you do things. Don't just do them because a teacher told you this is the way to do something. Okay, you feel some activation, maybe some uncomfortable feelings right now. That's great. Keep breathing in the postures. Inhaling, pushing into the elbows. Exhaling, activating the Mula Bandha, the perineum, pelvic floor, and drawing the belly button in for 5. Shifting to the left, shifting to the right for 4. For 3. 2. Good. Hands go where the elbows were, downward dog. Bring the feet together, maybe an inch apart. Turn the thumbs forward, the fingers out, and start to melt the chest. Really find the opening of the chest. Lift the heels, bend the knees. Reach the chest back. Good. Now start to shift it forward. Heel toe or Crawl the feet back a little bit further. Now I want the thumbs completely forward. I want the hands on the outside edge of the mat, no matter what your skeletal system. I don't care if you're narrow or wide. You can go wider if you are really wide. Thumbs forward, fingers out. And then bring your shoulders past the thumbs. Come to your tippy toes. Bring the heels in front of the toes, and then just come to the tops of your feet. Bend the knees. Hover them off the floor. Keep pulling the root, the heel of the hands towards the tops of the feet. The knees are off the floor. If you got to put the knees down, that's great. Put them down, then lift them back up. And lift the front ribs away from the floor. Soften the elbows. Straighten the arms. You're pulling the hands towards the back of the mat. My shoulders are going way past my thumbs. It's a planche progression, not a plank. I'm lifting the front ribs away from the floor. Pulling the feet towards the hands. Softening the knees. Straightening one leg, straightening the other. Good, and then downward facing dog. Big inhale. Exhale. You can keep your fingers facing out if it helps you to find that underarm opening. Breathe. Maybe set the elbows down towards dolphin. Shifting the heels to the left, to the right, bending one knee, straightening the other. Planche again. So the thumbs are forward, the fingers are out. Bring the shoulders past, and then just float the right foot off the floor. Bring the right knee to the right wrist, and reach it back. Round the back, tuck the chin, look at the belly button, bring the right knee to the right elbow, and reach it back. Big inhale. Set the right foot down. Bring the shoulders past the thumbs even more. Lift the left foot up. Big inhale. Exhale. Left knee, left wrist. Lift the front ribs away from the floor more. Push out of the arms. Big inhale. Exhale. Left knee, left tricep, left elbow. Reach it back. Downward facing dog. Crawl the hands back to the feet. Inhale, open. Exhale, fold. Close the eyes. Have the feet as wide as the mat. Shift to the left and shift to the right. Lift the toes. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, close. Softening the knees, gluing the ribs to the thighs. Find that connection. That is key when you start to float to the front of the mat in your jumping to the front of the mat. It's key for pressing from crow pose to handstand. From pressing to handstand, you got to have that compression where the ribs are glued to the thighs for the initial liftoff. Okay, hands to the hips. Lift the toes. So you're forward folding, your feet are as wide as the mat, your toes are lifted, you're bending one knee and then straightening the other. Kind of like just like penduluming your head from left to right, moving where you need to move, exploring your body. Start to roll to the outside edges of the feet so the inside edges of the feet lift as you bend the knees a little bit. Hands are still at the hips, or you can interlace the fingers behind the back. Breathe. Allow the head to dangle. Lengthen the back of the neck. The eyes should be closed. If you interlace your fingers or caught a wrist, catch the other side. Dangling. Let gravity do its thing. Just focus on the breath. Activation of the Mula Bandha, belly button drawing in as you continue to find that compression. Notice how softening the knees allows the torso to drift in between the two legs. Okay, hands to the hips, spinal wave your way up. So you'll bend the knees, you'll tuck the tailbone. You bend the knees gently, you tuck the tailbone, and head's the last thing to come up. And once you hit the top, you keep the hands in the hips, so you crawl the fingertips down the thighs, start to forward fold. Maybe you fold down the left leg, bend the right knee, and roll up the right side. Once you come all the way up, you hinge from the hips, fold over the straight right leg. Bend the left knee, roll over to the left, and roll up the left side. And just do a few rounds on your own. Hopefully your eyes are closed. Over to the left, over to the right, up the center, wherever you need to go. Shifting to the left, shifting to the right. Breathing. Lifting the toes, eyes are closed. Really learning where you are in space. Beautiful. Good, and then come up to standing. Bring your palms to the chest. Press the fingertips together. Maybe cup the hands even. Close the eyes. So find the four corners of your feet, the three arches, the inside, the outside, from heel to the front of the foot on both sides, and then from the pinky toe to the mound of the big toe. This is key, balancing. And lift the toes. Soften the knees. Tuck and untuck the tailbone. Lift the chest towards the thumbs. Pull the thumbs into the chest. And big inhale. Open the mouth, lion's breath. Big inhale. Let it out. Keep the eyes closed. Bring the hands to the hips. In fact, let's find Gomakasana arms. So if you need a strap, you do so. If not, bring the right hand behind your back. Internal rotation, thumb down, palm back. Left hand on the right wrist. Utilize that. And then, rather than reaching the left arm up high, think more about external rotation, touching the fingers to the shoulders, and then crawling the hands back. Don't force it. Go to where you can hold and sustain for quite some time. Notice if your shoulders roll forward and you're like this, grab a towel. Don't do that. Okay? Make sure you have the opening and you have the room to breathe. You want to be able to keep the toes lifted and shift to the left and shift to the right. And that means you have a strap, then that's great. Use a strap. When you use a strap, always, those of you who are in it, don't worry, you're good. You start with the top hand and then it comes down to it. And I actually even recommend, it's good to not even grind the hands if you don't have a lot of opening. I'll use a strap. So I reach my head up. I wing my right shoulder, the bottom arm, the arm that's going down, forward and back. I lift the toes. Good. And now I keep the eyes closed. I lift the chest towards my chin as I float the right heel up the floor. So I come to my right tippy toes. My eyes are closed. Now if this is enough for you, you stay there with the eyes closed. Maybe you lift the right knee as high as the right hip, but the eyes must be closed. This is what we're working on. Squeezing the hips together, lifting the right knee up, lifting the left toes up. So now you found your balance with the left toes lifted with the eyes open. Now, if you start to use the toes with the eyes closed, it gives you a little extra support. Maybe just really reach that right knee up and see if you lose it. Maybe open the eyes, everyone, if you couldn't get it with the eyes closed. Open the eyes, lift the right knee up as high as you can, push it into the ceiling as much as possible, and then close the eyes. Yeah, smile. 5. Those of you who can balance with the leg up, and then you straighten the right leg. And lean back. 4, 3, 2, 1. Set it down. Release. Have the feet as wide as the mat. Some of you turn the heels in. Malasana. So shift to the left, shift to the right. Really feel your body. Some of you take a few rounds of spinal waves. Folding over the thighs as you straighten the legs, softening the knees, tucking the tailbone, and rolling up. Maybe you take a couple more rounds. And then we switch sides. My feet are hips distance. I lift the toes. I do the opposite arm. So my left hand will go back, internal rotation, thumb down, palm back. That's the humerus. Humerus rotates down, the bicep rotates down, and then I find it. And then external rotation of the top arm. You have the strap or a towel, makes it much easier. We're going for about 65, 75, never 95% or 100% on these shoulder openers. Trust me, you will regret it. Just give it time, open it up, especially if you're doing my online program, the Essentials program, where you're building all that strength. Like, it's great to do these slowly as you build the strength. That way you don't lose the mobility. Good. So we wing the left arm, back and forward and back. Eyes are closed. Feet are hips distance. Lift the toes. Soften the knees. Lift the chest. Reach the head back. And we do the opposite leg. So the eyes stay closed. Notice if you want to lock into the right knee, maybe soften that right knee. Squeeze the inside of the left butt cheek towards the right leg. Or pin the left hip over towards the right hip. Come to the left tippy toes. Eyes are still closed. And then start to lift the left knee up as high as possible. Notice if you can lift the left knee up really high like you're pushing it into the ceiling. It's much easier to keep it up. And you can open the eyes if it's hard to get it up. Lift the toes on the standing foot and then close one eye or close the other or close both. Keep lifting the chest. Breathe. Eyes are closed. Feel those shoulders. Oh, and then set it down. Malasana. Malasana. So some of you in Malasana, some of you fold forward, find that compression, touch the elbows to the toes, and then you lift the heels up high. Turn the thumbs forward and just float onto the hands. Activate the fingertips, spider hands. Thumbs are facing forward. I'm just counterbalancing. My arms can be bent or straight. Maybe I go from bent to straight a few times. Some of you are just sitting in Malasana still. Some of you in crow. Breathe. Pull the heels up. Straighten the arms. Set it down. Grab the outside edges of the mat as you straighten the leg. Reach back. Find your heel balance. Windshield wiper the feet. Shifting to the left, shifting to the right. Bending one knee, straightening the other. Shift forward to your tippy toes. Some of you want to press the handstand. You go heels, toes, heel the hands, fingertips. Kick the wrists. The rest of you just holding on to the outside edges of the mat. Maybe you hold it with your index, pointer finger, and your thumb. You're just shifting from your heels to your toes. Those of you who are starting to really feel that compression, you roll from heels to toes. You bring the hands closer to the feet. If your hands are right here, it's going to be impossible or really hard. And then you just roll, pull the knees in, and press the handstand. And as soon as you go up, don't get stuck up there. Come right back down. So you inhale, shift back. You exhale, come up. You inhale, shift back onto the heels, no matter what your level. You exhale, come up. Don't get stuck. Work the movement. Good. Malasana, everyone. Spinal wave up to standing. Beautiful. Eagle arms. Garudasana arms. So the thumbs go down. The palms go back. Around the back, I tuck the chin. I protract across the elbows. And then I externally rotate. If this is too much for you, you just do one arm at a time. I always do one arm at a time first. I feel this for at least 5 breaths. Meanwhile, a lot of people are, imagine an eagle feeling uncomfortable. It's more about being able to move. So the feet are hips distance, just like the ones we just did for Gomakasana arms, cow face arms. Now we're doing eagle arms. The arm can be straight, you can be cupping it, and when you're ready, right arm goes over, internal rotation, then external rotation. No forcing, no rushing. You can interlace your fingers, maybe. You can lift the elbows up as high as the chin, and then reach the hands away from the face. Make sure that you're lifting the toes, softening the knees, twisting from left to right, and you have room to breathe. You got your 4 corners of your feet, your 3 arches. You're finding movement in your torso, in your side body, in your side ribs, in your knees. Good, eyes are closed. Start to make that switch. Lift the left heel. Soften the right knee. Lift the right toes. And then lift the left leg up as high as the left hip. Keep lifting the chest, lifting the chin. Look up. Is it possible? Some of you close the right eye and then close the left eye to match. Keep the right lifted. Good. Tree pose. Left heel into the right thigh, soften the right knee. Keep looking up. So just the left heel's on the inside of the right thigh. Looking up. Feel that right arm opening. Lift the toes. Good. Malasana. Those of you who like Malasana the most, you take Malasana. Maybe you do an arm balance of your choice. Maybe this time you lift the heels high. I keep the compression. So notice my ribs are dropping between my thighs. I lift the heels high. I activate the fingertips. I put the knees on the back arm. I try to keep my feet on the floor as long as possible. I shift far enough further forward, my feet just start to float. There's almost like no strength in it. It's just like counterbalancing. Press the handstand or don't. The rest of you are in Malasana, shifting to the left, shifting to the right. Maybe working the heels behind the toes so they're not turned out so much or in so much. The rest of you are playing with the arm balance. And then Pada Hastasana, step on the hands. Turn the palms up, step on the hands. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, fold. Shift to the left, shift to the right. Draw the belly button in, Uddiyana, Mula Bandha. And then heel toe a few times. So again, we go from heels to toes. Heel the toes. Some of you heels, toes, tippy toes, fingertips. Maybe you just do this with the eyes closed, trying to keep the thighs on the ribs. Those of you who want to start working the lift off, you soften the knees. Really find the connection of your ribs dropping into your thighs. You roll back and then you roll forward. Kick the wrist. Maybe the thumbs go forward, the fingers go out to protect the wrist. So you have like that mobility. And then you start to go up and come back down. It's up to you how high you go up. Maybe you just bend one knee, like you're puppy pressing, but try it a handful of times. And don't go up and stay up. Immediately come back down. Get the control between the postures. The transitions are key. Good. Bring the heels together. Hook the hands around the outside edge of the mat. Sink really, really deep. Really, really deep. Reach the hips back. Separate the knees. Find that compression. Make your way up to standing. Spinal wave. However, let's do the eagle arms. Garudasan arms again. So again, I'll just cross the left arm over the right. I'll hook the left arm from underneath with the right. My feet are hips distance. I lift the toes. I soften the knees. I shift to left to right. I bring the arm up and down a few times. And don't be afraid to take your time in classes, you know. My favorite teacher, one of them, you know, Chad, he'll have you go into a lot of postures without warming up, and he really acknowledges, like, the people who rush into postures. And as I do, I witness people rush into postures. They don't take the time to move into them slowly, which really is just important how you go into the postures as it is how you leave them. It's really important that you take the time to go into it so you actually can work in it and you're not holding on or clinging for dear life, yeah? Okay, so when you're ready, forward and back with the chest, a little Roger Rabbit hammer. Some of you might know what that is. Internal rotation. Try to cross the elbows, and then external rotation. I can bring the hands close to my face at first, and then I reach them far apart. I go, whoa. So my left humerus from shoulder to elbow is 2 inches shorter than the one on the right. You can see the difference. It's a big difference. So this pose can seem a little bit challenging for me. It's just a little different. I have about 2 inches less bone to work with. So it's good. My toes are lifted. My feet are hips distance apart. My knees are soft. I'm just twisting to the left and twisting to the right. Maybe starting to find even a little more range of motion. Can I start to keep my hips facing center as I twist the opposite direction? Lifting the chest, lifting the elbows, reaching the hands away from the face. Good. Keep the arms. Come back to center. Let's do the opposite leg now. The left heel will lift. The right toes will lift. The elbows will lift. The chest will lift. And then I lift the left knee. Maybe, I'm wrong. The right knee, sorry. I lift the right knee. The right heel lifts. Maybe you just stay there with your eyes closed if that's what you want to work. If you really want to lift the knee up, which I recommend, you lift the right knee up. You find the rhythm for 5. Inhaling for 4. Exhaling for 3. Eyes are closed. Find that wobble. Trust yourself that you're going to find it and catch it. Good, and then start to place the right heel on the inside of the left knee. I like to soften the standing knee quite a bit so I can really find the area above the knee, and I can really start to externally rotate the right leg, the leg that's elevated. Breathe, close the eyes. Close the eyes, everyone. Tree with the heel, oh, and release. Malasana. Malasana. So some of you are in Malasana, some of you do baby Bakasana, hands around the outside edges of the mat, elbows to the back, maybe the feet float off the floor. If you want to work your crow, that is the first arm balance I recommend you learn. Everyone start to walk the feet further back. Notice how open your hips should be getting by now. Letting gravity do the work, and then lift the heels. Hands on the outside edges of the mat, knees on the back now, so you can bend the elbows at first, and then pull the heels in. And now if you're in crow, start to bend the arms and reach the knees apart, lower your face towards the floor, and then just set the head down. And then pull the heels in towards your booty. Keep the knees towards your chest. Just work here. Activate the fingertips. Activate the thumbs are facing forward. If my fingers are facing forward, I lose a lot of foundational support for me. Good. Knees to the back of the arms. Hopefully you, if you're a well-advanced practitioner, I don't have to say it, you're already in, Urdhva Kukutasana, lotus legs, arm balance. But otherwise, you're just breathing here, finding that pulling of the hands towards the back of the mat, pulling the head into the ground, and then you settle all the way down. Twisted child's pose. So the heels touch, the sit bones touch the heels. My knees are fully bent, full flexion. I crawl over towards the right. I put my left elbow in front of my right arm, and then butterfly hands. I rest my right hand on top of my left hand, and I hook my thumbs. Fingers face opposite directions. My right hand is on my left hand. And I twist. And of course, in my twist, I have enough room to shift to the left and shift to the right. Forward folding, back bending. Always want room to breathe, room to move. If you can't breathe, if you can't shift, if you can't move, you've gone too deep. Good. Then we just switch sides. Crawl the hands to the left. Root that right sit bone down. Bring the right elbow to the left knee. Rest the left hand on top of the right hand. Bend the elbows. Hook the thumbs. Tops of my right fingers are on the inside of my left forearm. I reach the head back. Breathing. Big inhale. Exhale, come back to center. Okie dokie. So let's interlace the fingers. Bring the elbows together. Hook the head onto the arms. So you open up the hands and you pull the head into the base of the thumbs, really finding that connection. My head is not on the floor at all. It's really a connection between the back of my head and the heels of the hands. And I come up. My elbows are not wide. My elbows are only as wide as my shoulders at the widest. The closer they go, and then I start to walk up. And then I stay. I'm pulling my hands in, and maybe my feet start to float. I just float my feet up. And this is where I work. So the feet come off the floor. I squeeze my knees into my chest. And then I pull my heels all the way up, and I breathe. I keep the knees into my chest, right where my armpits are. I'm pulling the head into the hands. And I breathe. I find my pelvic tilt a little bit, but I do not let the connection of the top of my thighs and my ribs come apart. So I find that pelvic tilt to lift the knees up with the pelvis rather than the thighs actually separating from the hips. You see? Just finding this connection, feeling the back of the arms, breathing. For 5, keep breathing. 4, keep breathing. Pulling the head. There's no head. Their head is not on the floor. Lower your head and shift. And then set it down. Big inhale. Keep the head down. And big exhale. Just breathing in your child's pose. Reconnect with the breath. do it again. So interlace the fingers, bring the elbows close together, pull the head into the hands. Head is not on the floor, there is space between the top of my head, and I walk the feet closer. And I walk the feet so close, I glue the knees into the chest, and then I just use my pelvis, my lower lumbar, just like we did with the legs straight or kind of bent in Dandasana. That is my action to bring my feet up. Breathe. Maybe if the feet go up, you keep them up. You find that activation, working it, rolling the pelvis, up and down and up, breathing. And when you're ready to come down, you come down. And then you go to pigeon on the left side. So the right foot will crawl its way back. The left heel will touch the right hip flexor. And the head stays down. Shift to the left and shift to the right. Pull the top of the left toes into the floor. As you shift to the left, shift to the right. Use the right toes to shift you forward and back. Good. Keep the head down, switch sides. Right leg comes up, left leg goes back. Breathing. Beautiful. Drop the ribs on the inside of the thigh. Keep using the back toes to shift you left to right, right to left. Exploring that connection of the ribs of the inner thigh. Good. And come all the way up. Just watch for a minute. So you're going to find the compression, hook the hands around the outside edge of the mat, lift the heels, bend the knees, and you're just going to go as low as possible. And then you're going to straighten forward. And you're going to go as low as possible. Maybe the elbows even hover off the floor. And then straighten everything and shift the shoulders forward. And again, you go up and down, down and up. And then, if that's easy for you, you start to pop forward as you go forward. So I start to pop forward as I go forward. Okay, so play with either just finding this connection, shifting forward, shifting back, or play with popping to the front of the mat. Keep trying it, 30 seconds. I'm sure by then you will have lost your breath, you'll be completely gassed, and you'll be like, oh, oh, just like that, oh. So remember, you lift the heels high, you bend the knees deep, you reach the hips back. As you spring off the toes, you pull the hands towards the back of the mat. Compression is the key, okay? Okay. Okie dokie. Pause it if you want to work on that a little bit more. Just go ahead and pause it. This is actually a great place to cool down. Maybe take a little cool down, but we're going to keep going. So let's crawl the hands back to the feet. You just jumped quite a bit. Let's do Handstand. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Hands to the hips. Come all the way up. Good. All right, let's walk to the front of the mat. Just get some opening, nice opening. Sometimes it's nice to even acknowledge what it's like to start a class with all that opening or just with grounding. And then as you warm up a little bit, it's a different kind of warm up, no Surya Namaskar A's, no B's. And then you're like, whoa, I really kind of got super focused and didn't gas myself out. And now I'm actually able to learn a little bit more. So, a lot of times, a lot of teachers, I've done it in the past, I make my classes so hard, students can't even learn. They're like out of breath. So really learning the yoga, giving up my ego, not wanting to make the class too hard. I really want people to be able to hear, and not only hear, but be able to embody what I'm saying, yeah? So if you're a teacher, you slow the classes down. Give people a chance to work, to be in their body. If you don't already, I'm not the quickest learner, so it takes me a while. Okay, so hands to the hips. Right knee to the left knee. Single leg balance. So flamingo, many of you know. We come halfway down. Good, now straighten the left knee, and then bend the left knee. The right knee stays glued to the left knee. Start to fold forward. Hugging the left hip over towards the right hip. Keeping the knees together. Lift the left toes. You can do chin to shin, or you can do top of the head to the toes. Woo! And then bring your right hand behind your left leg. Maybe touch your forehead to your knee or your chin to shin, depending on if you want to open up your throat chakra or not. And then keep the knee bent, but start to peel the right knee up towards the sky. Lift with the inside of the right leg. Do not open the right hip up like you always do. I'm sure you do. Maybe you don't. But maybe, in fact, open the right hip up, point the right toe away from the hip, and then close it down. Left knee, right knee behind the left knee. Okay. Both hands on the ankle. Everyone. Now, start to straighten the right leg. Get the right hip, foot up as high as the right hip, and then think about your head. Is it in line with your shoulder? So maybe soften the left knee, bring both your hands to the knee. Drop the right hip down as you reach the right foot up. For 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1. Careful now. Bring the fingertips in line with the toe tips. Now just step the right foot back to what feels comfortable. We want the back foot to go flat. So we're finding triangle legs, not heel to arch or heel to toe alignment. Maybe even a little bit wider. I want to be able to externally rotate my front leg and internally rotate my front leg. I inhale, lengthen. I exhale, fold. Maybe I adjust the feet a little bit more. I want to root down through the outside edge of that back foot and lift all 10 toes. And I'm pulling the left heel towards the right arch, like a baseball into a glove. And I lengthen the chest. I keep pulling the left hip back, wrapping the right hip forward, and then bring my hands to my hips. I'm lifting all 10 toes. I'm hugging the left hip in, and I come all the way up. Good. Gomakasana arms like we did before. Let's do the right side first. No, actually, let's do the left side first. So we have opposite elbow to opposite front leg. So left hand goes down, internal rotation. And then right arm goes up. And I highly recommend grabbing your strap when you're forward fold. Now make sure you're rooting down through the outside edge of the back foot. And do this nice and light. Give yourself room to move, room to learn. You know, it's like Nataraj sometimes we do with the strap. Even enough room to straighten the arm even. So I wrap the elbow forward and back. I hug the left hip in. And I start to fold. And if you can, if you have a strap, let the strap slide through your hands and really straighten the right arm and reach the right arm in front of the left foot. Soften the left knee. Drop the right ribs towards the left thigh and then straighten the left leg. 5, 4, start to fold down further. 3, 2, 1. Keep the left hand behind you. Bring the right fingertips to the floor. And then reach your head back. Shift your hips to the left and to the right. Notice if your toes want to grab or if you want to lift the outside edge of the back foot. That left shoulder is feeling it. Good. And then come all the way up. Step it up. Keep the strap. Big inhale. Big exhale. Bring the knees together. Lift the toes on the standing foot. Flamingo. Fold forward, halfway. So you fold halfway down. Hands to the hips. Lengthen the back of the neck. Side of the hips, soften the standing knee. Lift the toes. And then start to peel the left foot up. And in fact, no, we're still just holding in flamingo. You can peel the left knee up as high as the left hip if you want, if you did it on the other side. Otherwise, we start to fold forward. Hug the right hip in as you fold forward. Drop the chest towards the shins, towards the knee. Keep the toe lifted. Breathing. Both hands to the ankle, or left hand behind the right ankle, right hand to the floor, or you can keep the hands at your hips. Always arm variations of your choice, spicing it up or toning it down, however you want. Until I say at least you try, get your hands to your foot, to your ankle. So to expand your spine, soften the knee, drop the ribs towards the thigh, and then use both your hands on your knee. And then you start to look up a little bit, but then lengthen the back of the neck once you get the head as high as the knee. Okay, and then come back down. So you feel a difference. And then cross the left knee over towards the right. Start to peel the left knee up off. Standing splits, opening it up. Hands can be on the ankle, hands can be on the knee, hands can be on the floor. Test your balance. Good. And then reach the left knee out to the side. Feel what that feels like to open it up. Think about your heel-toe balance, shifting back onto the heel, forward to the mound of the foot. All right, and then bring the left knee behind, and then reach it up again. Reach it up again. Good, and then come up. Hands to the floor, like warrior 3. Drop the left knee, or left hip, but lift the left knee up. So you drop the left hip, closing the left hip towards the floor, and then lift the left knee. And you can float the hands. For 5, lift the toes. Soften the standing leg, drop the left hip, lift the left knee, lift the left foot, point the left toes. Reach the head out of your turtle shell, away from your hips. Good, and then step the left foot back. Back foot goes flat, not super wide, a room to move. So you can shift the hips to the left, you can shift the hips to the right, you can lift all 10 toes, and you can really find the connection of the outside edge to the foot. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, fold. Notice the difference between the two sides. If you want to jump the foot a foot further back, feel what that feels like, by all means, do it. But make sure you have the connection of the outside edge of the foot. Notice the difference between the lengths. My right hip's super tied up differently than my left hip, so I truly have to approach it differently. Different approaches. Get the same feeling, as a hairstylist, not just a yoga teacher. I'm looking for symmetry, but every head is different, so I have to approach it differently, and every body is different the same, so I don't expect you to do what I do or what anyone else next to you does. Lift the toes, find the outside edge of the foot. Good. Hands to the hips. 3. Hug the right hip in towards the left. 2. 1. Come all the way up. Good. Let's find the Gomukhasana arms, cow face arms. Right hand down. Opposite elbow goes high, opposite to the front leg. I leave myself room to work in my Gomukhasana. So at first the hands are closer together, but as I fold forward, the strap will go through the hand and I'll straighten the arm. So hug the right hip in, external rotation of the front leg, skin on the inside of the front leg goes forward and away, and then external rotation, or internal rotation on the back leg. And I start to hinge from the hips. Draw the belly button up, hinge, woof. And start to straighten the left arm. Straighten the left arm, hold onto the strap with the right hand so it pulls it deeper. Three, 2, hinge from the hips, fold over the thigh, soften the front knee a little bit, wrap the opposite ribs towards the front leg. Lift the toes, find the outside edge of the back foot, find the connection between the sternum and the knee. Hug the right hip in. Hug the left hip in. Close the eyes. Good. Start to come up all the way up. Step it forward. Malasana. In fact, let's bring the feet together first in our Malasana. Separate the knees. And reach the hand forward. So deep Malasana. Is it possible to come to the outside edge of the feet so you almost like bring the soles of the feet together and really roll to the outside edge of the feet? So you Find like a floating Baddha Konasana, floating butterfly. Breathe. Working that compression. Feeling that juicy hip opener. Lengthening the chest. Forward. Reaching the knees apart. For 10. Breathing. For 9. For 8. Maybe bring the elbows to the toes. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Oof. Good. So we'll stay with Baddha Konasana. Feet to the floor. Hook the thumbs on the mounds of the feet and just start to turn the feet up. And just keep it gentle at first. Don't forward fold. Find that scooping of the lower lumbar. The drawing of the belly button in. And here with intention, we're sickling our ankles. We're starting to stretch the ankles out a little bit. Not when we're in pigeon, not when we don't mean to do it, but when we mean to do it, it's a difference. Pin the elbows into the side body. Think about forward folding. Reaching the hips back. Keeping the chest broad and open as you fold as you fold forward. Around the back and let it go, but then lift it back up. Maybe do that a handful of times. It's almost like a little spinal wave. And before we get too burnt out, some of you are going to bring the feet back, and you're just going to kind of do this butterfly press. So you find that compression. We work so much on the compression. We hook the elbows past, and we bring the hands back. And then we start to shift it forward. Maybe start to find the press up towards like an old school Bakasana. Breathe. And slowly, go back down. So doozy. Press the handstand as possible. You see it in my Instagram video stories. Good. Shifting to the left, shifting to the right. Let's take that strap of ours. Separate the feet a little different. In fact, let's go back to where we started at the beginning of class. So hook the toes, the mounds of the toes. Start to lift the chest. So I'm trying to find this teardrop action as we start to move towards some back bends. Lifting the chest, opening the chest, pulling the knees in, pulling the elbows back, yeah? Feel that connection. Good. Then we start to come towards our, if you don't want to back bend, I get it. I didn't want to back bend for years. But I will give you some starting points to work on. So, for starters, hopefully you have some blocks. Blocks aren't totally necessary. You can use books too. I used books for a long time. I had no money for props, no money for yoga, but things started to shift. I have no doubt it's because of the practice. So you rest the elbows here. Play with touching the thumbs to the back of the neck, opening up the shoulders. Breathing. Now this is enough for you. This is great. This is where you work. This is really, really good. If you want a little bit more, by a little bit, we go back to how we were kind of doing with those headstands. If you have a Dharma wheel, it's good as well. You can use either one. I do need my little block because my left arm's 2 inches shorter than my right, so I just want to make sure that I'm keeping things even, especially in the back bends. I got my little block. The recorder is still recording. 1 hour exactly. Great job sticking through with me, guys, people. And we start to go towards that headstand variation. So interlace my fingers. If my hands are apart, I'm not going to be able to open my shoulders as much, so especially if you have tight shoulders, I recommend interlacing the fingers at first. If you want to do that a handful of times and then go to the hands apart, that's great. Go ahead and do it, but make it easy on yourself. Use the hands together at first. And you can go up the same way we went up earlier. We worked it. The head is not on the floor. The elbows are really close together. Walk the feet really close. And then I find the knees squeezing into the ribs. And then I use that, pull the heels in to lift everything up. And I keep the knees only at hips height. I believe they're only at hips height. And then I start to reach the chest back. So you can use a wall here. Go ahead. And if you want, you can start to open up the chest. But notice how much shoulders we're just working into today. Pointing and flexing the feet. If you have lotus legs, by all means, take the lotus legs. It's great to do lotus legs in your hollowbacks because it really starts to prep you for deeper back bends. I feel like when I go into lotus legs, I can really start to find my shoulders, as well as some hip flexor opening. We're not going to do full back bends today, but I have those blocks back there for a reason. And you start with 6 blocks, 10 blocks, and then you lower it down piece by piece, brick by brick. No need to rest on them, nothing like that. We're just kind of opening the shoulders. We didn't do much hip flexor opening, much lunges like we do in a lot of classes. We kept this strictly pretty much shoulders and some balancing. So, you know, if you want to go into it deeper, I would, you know, in fact, we can just do it. What am I talking about? Let's do it. Tuck the back toes, step the right leg forward. Lunge it forward. Straighten the front knee, bend the front knee. 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4. I'm melting my hip flexor towards the floor. And start to come on the inside. Been working so much of this today. I'm rolling to the outside edge of the foot. And rather than pushing into the front foot, I'm actually pulling it towards the back of the mat. And I go between the two. I push and I pull. I push and I pull throughout my whole practice. I twist and I turn. I push and I pull. Like a snake shedding its skin, yeah? You're just kind of like weaving through your body, moving deeper into the postures. Did a lot of people, students in particular, you know, are taught one thing. They really look up to their teacher. And what a teacher says is what they stick with for the rest of their practice. And I think it really almost locks themselves in a box. You're putting yourself in a box with no way out, you know. I agree with Iyengar, some of it. I agree with Ashtanga, some of it. I agree with Yin, some of it. I agree with CrossFit, some of it. You got to keep exploring, you got to keep moving, and if something doesn't feel right, you don't do it. No matter who said it, I said it, Dalai Lama said it, Buddha said it, a teacher you fell in love with said it. Listen to your body. Continue to move through it. Don't force it. Don't rush it. You get there by realizing that you're there already. The slower you go, the more your body will be receptive and open up to you. The slower you go, the more mindful, the more intention you have behind your practice, the more response you'll get from your body. You'll get less reaction. You go too fast, you push too hard, your body will react and it won't be good. So notice, the blocks are turned this way. I'm going to turn the other way, so when my foot touches, I don't topple over. I get a little bit more doot. And then also what I can do is I can put the purple one, the rubber one. This is just for a block setup. Second to last, so it doesn't slide as much. It still looks pretty slidey. It's these 2 cork ones on the bottom that are slidey. I got a better idea. Watch this. I'm going to put these side by side, and then put this here. And then we start to, oh yeah, now we got a nice, pretty solid foundation. I recommend using a couch, an ottoman, if you have a staircase, which I have. You guys have seen videos that I do quite a bit on the stairs for back bending, but it's just like, another version. You can do it anytime, anywhere. So you start to find, look at my knees and my hips are what pull my feet up. I think hips high, feet low. Everything comes up. Whoa. Then I start to reach the chest back. Notice I lifted my knees up so things got wobbly. I want to find the full extension of my shoulders, reaching my chest back before I start to reach one leg. And now look, I'm counterbalancing. As long as I keep this knee low or foot low, there's no way I'll fall. It's when this starts to go high that things get weird. So I start to push the chest down and open, and I'll just touch it gently. I turn my head to the left, and I turn my head to the right, and I breathe. And I can even have more blocks. I can even be higher. I'll go to the opposite side. Scissor and push. Open it up. Drop my head down, drop my head up, look down. Feel the difference between the two. Good. And I come down. And I go, that was great. I mean, look at, we didn't even do crazy surgery A, crazy surgery B, hard, sweaty, nasty class, and yet we're able to move pretty deeply and maybe have some breakthroughs. So again, we come up. Maybe if you want to scissor one leg up, as long as I keep the foot low that I'm jumping off of, you just watch for a minute. Keep it low. I go off the toes and I pull the hip in. Everything comes up. I find that pushing of the shoulder opening. Push into the fingers. Take a few breaths. Switch sides. Breathing. Opening. Yum, yum. Yum, yum. So it's nice when you have extra blocks, extra books. You go down, you work your way down, you work your way down. The next thing you know, you're getting pretty open, yeah? So let's go. Another round. Keep lowering it. Keep finding it. This is number 4, I believe. And we just scissor off the other leg so we don't push too much into one side. Reach the chest open. Maybe stag the legs, bending both the knees, pulling the heels into the glutes. So to straighten that leg to really help with the counterbalancing. There it is. Go to the other side. Pushing my chest through. Notice there's no dropping and slamming. I'm maintaining everything we've worked this whole class, this finding of here and that sacrum scoop, It's the main constant. I can go to the floor. I can start to work TikToks. There's no need to. That's good. I found 6, 70, 80%. If I stop now, I'll back bend and feel great tomorrow. And I feel good in my body, and I'll be back bending for years. Push too much, I personally could go, a couple more, take a few pigeons in between, but let's go to pigeon. Left leg bends, right foot back. Shift it forward, shift it back. Use the back toes to shift yourself forward and back for 10. 9, breathe. 8, rolling the outside edge of the foot to the top of the foot. 6. 4. Breathing. 1. Swing the back foot leg all the way around. Janu Shirshasana. Sit on the heel. Bring the knees together at first. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Shifting to the left, shifting to the right. And then if you want to start to drop the ribs towards the thighs, maybe bend the knee, extend it, bend it. Try to find a connection between the left ribs and the right femur. Breathe. And then fold forward. Point and flex the right foot. Fold over the right thigh. And then let's reach the right knee far apart. So there's a lot of space, 85 degrees. I rolled the outside edge of the back foot. And I twist again. It's not about forward folding. I'm lengthening and twisting. Forward and back, back and forward. Breathing. Breathing. And then fold forward over the thigh. Good. Swing the leg back around. Right knee, switch sides. Right knee goes forward. Left leg goes back. Use the back toes to shift you forward and back and forward. Roll to the outside edge of the back foot. And then to the top of the foot. So the right foot, you roll to the outside edge of the right foot, the foot that's under your pelvis. And then roll to the top for 10. Big inhales, big exhales. 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Swing the back leg around to the front. Dandasana. You can also do a Dandasana A with the sole of the foot on the inside of the leg, but today let's just bring the heel to the right into the perineum, the flower, and bring the knees together at first. Start to roll the outside edge of the foot that's underneath the sit bones and twist. Thinking about wrapping my right ribs towards the extended leg, not just going forward. I'm bending the knee that's extended, and I'm pulling that foot that's in front of me towards the hips. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, twist. And then when I'm ready, I can start to fold forward. Really maybe rolling to the outside edge of that knee that's in full flexion, the right foot. And just explore it from the left and to the right. Move in the process. Same as every other pose. Good, and then come back up. Let's separate the knees this time. And in your own practice, feel free to play with separating the knees first. This is classic Ashtanga Dandasana B with 85-degree angle. I like to bring it together. Feels a little bit better on my knees. I hit something differently. So maybe you start with the knees apart and then start with them together. Do try it both ways. Do try it everywhere in between. Pinning the hips together, activating the pelvic floor, pointing and flexing the left foot, and then maybe folding. You don't just fold and rest. You're still shifting little subtle movements, pulling the toes towards the shin, rolling to the outside edge of the hip, maybe pulling on the foot that's in front of you with the opposite hand. Good. Good, good, good. I recommend, if you want to do more back bends, if you want to do more hip opening, you pause it and you go at it. You know, you take some of the stuff we've done in other classes and what you've learned so far and you work at it. Otherwise, you lift the knees, pull the heels in, close the distance between the ribs and the thighs. Maybe hook the toes. So no matter where you're at, you hook the toes. And then you start to straighten the legs. Keep the spine long. And then bend the knees again. Bring the ribs between the thighs and then straighten the legs. And again, bend the knees, pull the heels towards the sit bones. And straighten the legs. Pushing into the right hand with the right foot, pushing into the left foot with the left foot, alternating sides. Big exhale. Inhale for Mr. Ed. Good. Keep the knees soft. Keep the head tucked, chin tucked towards the chin. And just start to roll back. And if you have a block or a towel you want to put under your chest, otherwise just roll all the way back. Put your elbows on the floor. Lift the feet up. At first, just kind of go to that fish pose prep with the elbows back. Lift the feet up. I recommend doing this in every class. If you got to bend the knees at first to do it, we're just giving that lower sacrum one little kiss of activation, strength building, and then point to toes. You can feel free to go up and down with the heels a little bit. Keep lifting the chest towards the sky as if a balloon were lifting you up. We'll just finish off the practice. It's like a mula bandha checkup. Activating the perineum, drawing the belly button in, lifting the chest higher, barreling out the ribs, and then knitting the ribs together on the exhale. Palms turn up, shoulders and head go back. Keep the shoulders tucked under, rest everything down. Big inhale. Open the mouth, exhale. 3 rounds of Uddiyana Bandha. Big inhale to the top. Sucking a little more air. Sucking a little more air. Keep it in. At the bottom of the exhale, you draw the belly in and you click the perineum 5 times. Exhale. Inhale to the top. Through the mouth. Sucking a little more air through the mouth. A little more air. Notice the heart beating in the chest. Open the mouth, exhale. Draw the belly button in, activate the perineum 5 times. Inhale through the mouth. Lift the chest, broaden the back. Inhale a little bit more. Notice the heart beating. Open the mouth, exhale. Savasana. Relax. Allow your body to sink into the earth. Just think about someone you love, person. Just send them some positive thoughts. Picture yourself laughing, cuddling, kissing, playing, dancing, skiing, whatever it is you like to do with them. Allow it to bring a smile to your face. And just think about your favorite animal. Maybe petting that animal, feeding that animal, cuddling with that animal. And just picture yourself laying down outside, in a completely safe environment. The sun is shining. Maybe there's a couple clouds, maybe there's not. Your body is warm from the sun. The heat in the air. It's not overly hot. Just laying down. Imagine yourself floating, like you're floating on a body of water, floating device. Feel yourself moving up and down. Gentle breeze on your skin. Allow the eyes to sink towards the back of your skull. The throat to relax, the hands, feet, the hips, the knees. Just start to watch the heart. Notice the heart vibrating in your chest. just hit pause and stay for a little bit longer. There's some things I want to say about this practice, and I don't want people at home to turn it off and not hear what I'm saying because they skipped their Shavasana. So if you want more Shavasana, please, by all means, always take at least 10 minutes. But the rest of you, just notice your heart beating. Notice how good you feel in your body. Notice the awareness you were able to create today in your practice. Maybe moving into some new areas, some denseness. Notice how you didn't push so hard, yet you might have learned a tremendous amount more. Try to do the shift. Don't get stuck in a rut. Practice differently every different day. Explore your body. And great job tuning in. Please DM me with any questions you have, with any insights you had. I really love to hear it. Your feedback, it helps me to grow, and it also helps me deliver you better content. So please DM me. Stay in touch. I'm available to the Instagram quite a bit. So great job, everyone. Namaste. And take those times to like work those shoulders, pull the heels back, do all that.